You're listening to the BFP 9000 Big Fraggin' Podcast. I'm your host, Alston. We've got a great show for you today. My special guest is Horde Mode Gaming Doom News Expert. We're going to give you the down low on the lost updates of Doom Eternal and hidden cut game modes, and even take a call from a listener in a bit. All that coming up. Horde, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. We got to start off with the master levels and get into Invasion in a second. Now, there were some master levels that didn't make the cut on the game. There's Hell on Earth, Exultia, Doom Hunter Base, Sentinel Prime, Final Sin, but one of these stands out a little more because we think that it would have been next in the game. Now, what evidence or idea do you have that points to that?
There's a handful of Battlemode 2.0 rewards that are labeled as Hell on Earth master level rewards in the files, and they never released as actual master level rewards. They're kind of reused as Battlemode 2.0 rewards.
So, you say they're reused as Battlemode 2.0. Now, how are you so confident they're actually supposed to be used for the home app? Surely
the files are actually labeled as master level rewards. They're the titles and icons. There are 6 in total, 3 titles, 3 icons. They are individually labeled as master level rewards, but given out as Battlemode rewards.
And when you look at them, like if you completely erased Battlemode 2.0 from your existence, these are Hell on Earth titles. They look like the level. The Titans, they don't you think they kind of represent where they are?
Oh yeah, some of these textures come straight from the map. There's a texture from the sewer or subway wall from the middle portion of the level.
Yeah, so it really shows you, like, because if you think about it, if you have these assets made, if you have the man hours in rather, and you have the time spent, you don't want that to go to waste. Naturally, some content does get cut in games on the cutting room floor, and you don't get to use it. But why do you think that they put it for Battlemode 2.0? Just because it fit? I mean, it's Titans, it's cool stuff.
I think they just kind of had it sitting around and they didn't want to pay people to make more. A lot of the Battlemode 2.0 rewards are reused concept art and images they've already had, so I'm assuming it was just there.
Yeah, so it's just, we have this, we need to use it. And I think it would be cool like that. So you're a console player, correct?
Yeah.
I am PC, and I've actually played it before. I don't have footage of it, but I remember this was so cool. The very first time that I played this level, I loaded it up. And this, you gotta keep in mind, go with me in your mind back to 2020 and think about how the game was at that point. We didn't have these insane modded master levels. Everything was more grounded. The strategies, the Siler, Lock-On Burst, and beyond weren't all there yet. We were in a simpler time. So do you remember?
Much simpler.
Well,
yeah, absolutely.
So these master levels, by today's standards, are not much. But by that point, we've not seen anything. My first thought when I saw this level, I played it. There were that arena where you go after the subway and you go across the monkey bars. It normally has like an arachnotron jump through the wall. Wow. When I play that, there's Maker Drones, there's Revenants. I'm thinking, holy crap. This feels like Doom 2 with all these monsters everywhere. I never had that moment in Doom Eternal. Because they're not the same game.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, when you compare Doom Eternal and Doom 2, Doom 2 is more monster heavy and Doom Eternal's less so. Of course, nowadays that would be a little bit different. I mean, what would you think if you played a Doom Eternal level back in 2020 and you had that feeling, this is like classic Doom? Do you think that people would have liked that?
I actually do. I think it would have went well with the classic mode, which was definitely really underutilized for the master levels. That may have been what it was based around.
I didn't even think about that. It's a good connection because the master level classic, that was actually bugged with the health and the armor. But that would be a good point to have all the monsters and have that feel take you back, because Eternal really does lean into the nostalgia. A lot of 90s stuff today does. And the collectibles, all the little things. I think that'd be a great fit. But,
absolutely.
But why do you think all these levels were canceled? I mean, we have the titles and the icons. What happened? I think it was pandemic delay. Were we supposed to get like a Dark Lord Dragon mech or something too?
Yeah, there's tons of stuff they had to cut. I'm assuming they kind of got down to it. Battlemode 2.0 came out, Horde mode came out, all of that, and there just wasn't enough time for them to really completely redo all of those master levels, because they're still like the Art Complex and Cultist base, whether primitive or not, balanced for quick swapping and everything like that. So they probably just didn't take the time to redo those and then release them. I'm imagining they wanted to put more resources into whatever they're working on now.
And that point you bring up, it really ties into something I want to say too, as far as the resources and the development as the The scale changed as time goes on. And that you'll find that with anything. With Left 4 Dead 2, for example, it's been out 14 years. People are super sweaty and really good at it. We'll find that with Eternal. Now, I was actually talking to Jason O'Connell. I've got some cool stories here in a second about Taurus Nabad. That master level was actually in development early on in the game's life cycle. But over time, you'd have to think like it was probably simpler. It wasn't the crazy, wild insanity that it is now. But they developed over time, and by the time the level came out, it's massive.
Yeah, I would imagine they had to change a lot. There are, I think, unique traps and unique, like laser, big statue shoots lasers, yeah. Because people learned to quick swap and use all the resources to the best of their abilities, they really had to adjust to that. Because if it came out and it was like the early master levels, it probably would have sucked.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when quick swapping was switched out and it switched back in due to the community input. There's just a lot of things. I mean, I've played, like I said, a couple of these levels. A couple of them, Final Sin doesn't have any loaded monsters. You could just run around with the level. But still, yeah, I mean, it's still pretty neat. I mean, we got some sweaty stuff in the game, too. The 5 Marauder Easter egg. Have you've seen videos on that?
Yeah, I've completed it.
Oh, you've completed it. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting story with that. I was talking, I think it was like 1 a.m. on Twitter. Jason O'Connell, he's the lead level designer. He made Super Gorness Master level. He made Taurus Nabad Master level. He knew his stuff. And I was talking to him on Twitter.
Sounds like it.
He does. And on Twitter, he posted all these Easter eggs that he put in a game, a big collage of Easter eggs he's created. And I saw something on World Spear that I'd never seen before, and I DM'd him about it, like, what's going on here? And apparently there was a hidden Easter egg in World Spear that nobody found. So I spent like 2 hours getting hints from him on Twitter, exploring, really trying to figure it out. And it was the 5 Marauder Easter egg. So there was some sweaty stuff in the game, and then I posted a video on it, and it turns out it's a really cool combat. I mean, we have the Tyrant Cake Easter egg as well in Super Gornest, but nothing like that.
I mean, it's pretty funny that's on the sweatiest master level. I mean, that one, that's tough.
Well, that's the thing. That one's on the base level. What you do to get there...
Oh, is it the base level?
Yep. What you do is you get to the end, and you unlock fast travel. And normally you think you go back, get your stuff, you leave the level. You actually go back to the forest, which is after you ride the big wyvern dragon thing, you land, and there's a little sword sticking out of the ground by one of the random trees. You click that sword, and then the 5 Marauders spawn in. And the really cool thing is if you do no clip to go to the end of the level, take that fight and come back, you get to do the forest fight and the Marauders, so you can like leave them alive till the end, kill everything else. A lot of good fun.
That does sound like fun. Yeah, go ahead.
We're just going to say gold bosses, which is something we'll talk about as well, which is they're not actually golden bosses. They're New Game Plus, or they're harder versions.
I'm actually surprised they didn't reuse that concept. They had the empowered demons. I kind of expected them to put that as a like an empowered boss, either a mode or a I don't know, sort of a feature where they could randomly spawn in.
That would be cool. I'd want to be careful with the random factor, because if you're doing like Ultra Nightmare, you could really screw somebody's run if you go like get really bad RNG. But that's how games work. I would think that they, I mean, it sometimes do. I would think that they would need to be different than empowered demons. Those were actually kind of not correct. Well, what it was I had a friend who I fought him in Taurus Nabad Crucible room as a Dread Knight. But he'd never died in that room. He'd never died in that level, but he somehow was a Dread Knight there. So they took the names off after that.
I stopped playing with the empowered demons like the week after it came out. I don't think I've had a fight with an empowered demon since 2020.
They actually changed them. They used to be a whole lot better, like a Maker Jar, and then they changed the resources, which I mean, I get that.
Oh yeah.
But these gold bosses...
The gold bosses could have reused them for Horde mode, even. That probably would have spiced it up. They have Doom Hunter base in Horde mode. They could have reused the Doom Hunter boss.
I didn't even think about that. They could have done that. And so if you've never seen a gold boss before, it is one that, so the Doom Hunter throws these axes at you. He leaves a trail of fire that you can't walk over. The Gladiator does like fire as well. So it's definitely harder.
Oh, absolutely. It is, they would have been great for master levels, which is why it's kind of unfortunate that none of those actually came out, but it is what it is, I guess.
Well, we've been able to see them through modding, which is impressive how far the community has come with modding, especially without official tools, which I understand there's proprietary licenses. They're not able, I just love to see that for the next Doom game. That's a video and a podcast in its own self.
Oh, absolutely. It's, I would say inarguably the most requested feature for Eternal post-launch.
It worked well for classic Doom, but I understand, there's a business side. I understand I'm not privy to everything that may be going on behind the scenes, and that's okay. But I do have to say, the community has done a great job as we segue through to the invasion mode. Velser, if you're unaware, if you've never met him before, he's created a Slayer deathmatch, which is actually a tournament that goes on now. There's been a co-op mode and an invasion, and we're actually going to, here in a minute, take a call from a listener who has played the invasion mod and see what he says on that. So what do you think about invasion? This is something that you know a lot about, isn't it?
Yes, it was originally really similar to battle mode, but it had a couple of changes. There's actually, at least closer to launch, there was a lot of data MV files about invasion mode. Demons have the ability to turn off Slayer jump pads and kind of hide themselves as props, specifically explosive barrels.
No.
But outside of these features, it was pretty much just battle mode and a campaign, and I think that makes it really obvious why it was canceled and replaced.
Not enough of a difference, not enough value to spend all that time working on it, probably, right?
Well, along with that, there's also the community's overall response to battle mode, which was, I would just say, fairly poor.
That too. And again, that's another podcast in itself.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I look at a game like Left 4 Dead 2 that is built from the ground up for co-op and really blazed a trail for it. In battle mode, I think it had a valiant effort in it, but it just missed the mark with some folks. And it just hadn't worked. And Invasion, like I said, was scrapped for Horde mode. And we have a caller that's calling in about the Invasion mode that he has played. D-Blade Medic, are you on the line?
I'm here.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit. Thank you for coming on the show. Tell us a little bit more about what your experience was with Invasion and the mod.
Yeah. So Invasion. Well, in the beginning when it first came up with this, and we were thinking we were having Invasion mode, we thought it was going to be kind of like the Dark Souls type mode where you go in, the Slayer plays his campaign, and then at some point another player demon hops in and, invades and tries to kill the Slayer, stop him from reaching his goal, and the Slayer in turn has to kill the player demon, maybe get some loot for doing that. And all the while, they're just demons invading. It's not all like complete demons there. So that's the invasion we thought we were going to get. Now, we didn't get that.
What did we get?
We got Horde mode instead from id, but an amazing modder named Velser created a mod for Invasion. Now, this Invasion mod isn't like the Invasion we thought we were going to get, but it's just as good. It's pretty much just battle mode and campaign put together. The Slayer has to get to the campaign, and the demons try to stop him. And it is a lot of fun.
It's balanced, too, to make it something that works for both sides.
Yes, the modder changed a couple of things, changed some loot drop areas, changed some pickups, had some portals and stuff, and the demons are able to pass through some walls that the Slayer has to break. It's all very balanced, and it's been iterated on a lot, and it's actually come along very well. Remember last year is when it started, but it has become so much more than it was when it started.
Oh yeah, and there's even things that were left in from the base game that he was able to use in Invasion and really give us a slight piece of what could have been, even if it wasn't the full thing. But it's an Invasion with its own identity and maybe even some perks over what we could have had.
Oh yeah, it's like a nice little preview of what we could have had, like a little peek into a parallel universe.
For sure. Thank you, D-Blade. Appreciate all of that insight and letting us know what happened with it. But it was scrapped for Horde mode. We found it out. I was actually on vacation when I got the notification that Horde mode was being replaced. And here I am in another state at a beach. And I'm like, oh crap, this is huge news. How am I going to make this video? Can I get on my phone? Can I go to a website and make thumbnails? I didn't make the video yet. But I had to do it. Actually, when the World Spearmaster level was announced, I was on vacation as well. I left my hotel room, took out my iPhone, walked down the street, talked. Nobody saw me. I didn't tell anybody what I was doing. Nobody asked me or anything, but that's how that video came out. So World Spear is the next master level as confirmed by Hugo. But this is Field Reporter Austin. I'm out here bringing you the news. Bye. We have to talk about, what do you think about Horde mode? This is such a silly question. It's your name, right? But what do you think about the Horde mode? And is there anything that was maybe canceled or things that you would like to have seen that we maybe didn't get?
Flat out, I do not like the Horde mode. I think it is my least favorite part of Doom Eternal. I am not a big fan of battle mode, but I would rather play battle mode than Horde mode. I think it's just not a proper Horde mode. Oh yeah.
I mean, you look at something in Left 4 Dead. I keep coming back to that game because there's a lot of ties in. I'm gonna have to do the video on it one day. They have a Horde mode there called Survival that's very popular. I mean, people go for world record times. What they did with Survival worked. It's very popular, and there's deep strategy and different maps to do different strategy, different teammates, different strategies, so much stuff. And I think that if Horde mode was like that, things would be different.
It would be much more successful. I think it kind of just lacks that sort of competitive nature. I mean, you can get points, but you can't really get points. There's not too much of a difference you can make.
Yeah,
if you're already a top player, you're going to have a similar score to your friend.
The leaderboard's there. They've said it's just for friends, and that's fine. Cheating and all that sort of thing. But that's something that's actually in the game rather than cut. But we did have some things that were cut. Like I said, invasion maps actually had some invasion data in them. But something that we don't see a lot about are 2 more game modes, and then actually a third one. There's 3 game modes that we did not get that we got to touch on here. Time Attack. Super Gore Nest map. Do you know a lot about that one, or what's your familiarity?
I did cover it all the way back when it was leaked or whatever, but I'm not extremely familiar. I just remember it was more of a just a challenge mode. I think it was intended for Super Gore Nest, but was canceled for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, we get a taste of what it could be like in the Mighty Doom Time to Kill event. Basically what it is I believe whenever you took off a weak point or killed a demon or did a glory kill, you got bonus time, and then you had to, if you ran out, you died. So Savagery would be a good play there because you get through the glory kill faster, get the time added back because glory kills take time. It would be interesting to see because it would be a mixture of tactical aggression like Doom Eternal, but also not going too fast so you die and get careless. So I've done a mode like that in Classic Doom where you lose health. I think it would have been a fun addition.
This is one of the things where I don't really see why this was cut. You have something like Invasion that the community didn't like battle mode. Battle mode was really hard to balance, so Invasion would have been harder. If the master levels weren't, fixed for the more, I guess, intense players. But this worked. I mean, it worked perfectly fine. They didn't really need any balancing. It would have worked for the time it came out. I'm not sure why that was cut.
I do know that when the master levels came out, especially Super Gore Nest, that the way that they were worked in the code, this is why master levels don't let you save game in the middle, because they're layered in with the base map, and that caused problems with SGN coming out. There was a Whiplash room that would soft lock you, so maybe it has to do with that. I don't know, something in that regard.
That is a possibility, but at the same time, you would think they might have reused it in the future if they couldn't figure it out. Get it worked out once they were done with the DLC and they had more development time.
Yeah, I think maybe it was the whole the pandemic thing. The time that they had to spend working just didn't work out. Maybe just the return on investment wasn't there, unfortunately, because that's not the only cut mode that we've had. What about this one? This is one we talked about. I don't know if it has a name. It removes a weapon when you run out of ammo. You were telling me about that.
I think it does have a name. I unfortunately did not go and find it before we started recording, but it would simply just remove your weapon when you ran out of ammo. You couldn't chainsaw to get ammo back for it. It wouldn't remove the other weapon that uses that ammo type, but it would completely remove that specific weapon. I think you completely failed once you run out of weapons. That
would be hard to balance. You'd have to balance that in some way because Doom Eternal, there's no reload button, but there is a reload button called the chainsaw, if you really think about it.
I think it was meant to really push players into mastering the resource loop and really having a firm grasp on the chainsaw and timing your resources and whatnot.
Blood punches. Lots of blood punches. A lot of that.
Lots of them.
So I don't know. I feel like that have to be balanced carefully or it just wouldn't be that fun. I would try it. I would, because it really leans into the combat loops, strategy, figuring things out. There'd be a whole new meta for it. I would have liked to try it, but it's not there, unfortunately.
That is one of the things that I think they kind of miss with Eternal, which is they didn't really want to put out non-catered content. If it couldn't be perfectly balanced to their liking, then they didn't put it out.
Which the single player, I was in Discord talking about it. Single player is not very balanced in a way once we've reached this point today, because a precision bolt can stop an archvile summon and then soft falter it for 4 seconds. And the mod you get in level 1 stops one of the super heavy demons if you use it right. But you can't predict some of this stuff, what the players are going to do.
No. I think after launch there was a sort of a disconnect between what they wanted to do and what we wanted. I think a lot of people just wanted casual stuff, not really master levels meant for people who are experts, but stuff like deathmatch or just fun side modes compared to something like Tag 1 was when it first came out, where it was really difficult.
Oh yeah, I mean, I applaud that. Knowing what works. I just really wish we had a multiplayer that even a co-op or something. Which there's mods for it, and they are very fun. I've done videos on it. It's just would be nice if it was built from the ground up. And you know what else?
Yeah, I would. Yo, what's up?
I said, you know what else would be fun?
What's up?
Crowd choice. So, we talked about this a little bit earlier, and most people listening may not know what that is, but are you ready for this?
I am.
Crowd choice. I was going to do a video on this years ago, but never did. And here's the thing about that. It's called crowd control. If you look at it from that angle, that's actually a company. There's a Stadia video that was unlisted, which means if you didn't have the link, you couldn't look at it. It's now private, probably since Stadia was shut down, to where you as a person viewing a stream, this was mostly Doom 2016, you could buff the enemy's strength, you could make them faster, you could do this or that, and impact the streamer's game.
That is very nice, actually. I really like that concept.
It's beautiful. I've actually done in Classic Doom with Big Mac Davis. My buddy and I, he did the coding for it, some custom scripting for Classic. You could swap positions with the other player. If someone typed in swap in the chat, you could summon a Gore Nest like arena fight, and BFG Division would play. Super fun time. Some of the greatest streaming. I'd like, so much fun. But I just wish that would have been cut. Do you think it maybe tied with Stadia and how this was 2016 time that just didn't take off? It was on YouTube, not Twitch, that they based this off.
I think, along with the fact that Stadia just never really took off how they wanted it to, we may not have had the technology to do that at the time. We're just now getting to the point where we have, I guess, more seamless streaming technology and stuff. That probably would have been very difficult to pull off.
It was really neat because, like I said, when we did it, it was kind of, rigged up a little bit. He tried to put in checks to see, like, if you couldn't put a monster in a wall, things like that. I think the idea was there, but like you said, Stadia just didn't hit. Mm-mm. And even if it didn't need Stadia, just the idea just didn't quite make it to fruition. I wish it would have. The interactivity stuff is really fun, and just making a difference in that streamer's life has some funny moments.
That's some extra community interactivity that these games kind of just lack with the lack of any sort of proper multiplayer like Deathmatch and Eternal.
Oh, multiplayer is something close to my heart, and like I've said other times before, that could be a whole video in itself. Multiplayer games, I feel like, give a game life and longevity, as does modding, and we just don't have either of those officially, unfortunately.
That's really unfortunate, no.
You get some funny moments. In Classic Doom once, what happened was I was on the chasm, I just teleported, and there's a cyber demon in front of me in the distance. So I shoot my rocket at it, and at the moment I shot my rocket, keeping in mind chat latency and things not being, zero ping, someone summoned in a zombie man right in front of my face. The rocket blasted and killed the zombie man, so I made a kill, but I also killed myself. The timing...
Moments like that are just great for this kind of stuff.
That's the stuff case in point, I remember this years later. I was standing on that third top red part in the chasm, and it was just, you just don't forget that stuff. And that's the kind of thing that I wish Doom Eternal had, and that wasn't cut and that wasn't left out. That was fun.
As far as we know, I mean, they could have had something like that planned for Eternal. They were really heavy on the Stadia stuff before Stadia sort of started to fall off. I mean, it did launch on the Stadia.
Yeah, and there's a connection there.
I think after the QuakeCon 2018 gameplay was revealed for Eternal, the next gameplay reveal was at a Stadia event, and it was private.
Yes,
and it got leaked to YouTube. I don't know if you remember that.
I covered it. Yes.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think one of two gameplay videos out there of pre E3 2019 gameplay.
Yep.
That is. Yep.
Yep, I do remember that very, very much. I had a video on it as well. But it's just one of those things that's tough. But like the Bethesda streaming service, Orion, I mean, that didn't really fall through. Well, it did fall through. What do you know about that?
It looked like they had a sort of service that would connect to both you and the, I don't know, I guess something like Stadia. I'm assuming they were hoping more things like Stadia would pop up, and it would link you to those things for a seamless streaming thing. It wasn't its own service, or streaming service at least. It would just connect you to other services better.
I just wish that some of this panned out so that we could see what could have been, because when we have the freedom in the classic games, we really, as a community, were able to come up with some crazy stuff, and even without official tools. And it's not throwing shade at the devs. Like I said before, I understand there's limitations. It's kind of like what if? Don't you think, what if?
Yeah, what if? I think they did a great job with Eternal. I have nothing but respect for how much they were able to deliver with... you could tell they wanted to move on, but they still stayed and gave us Horde mode and Battlemode 2.0 and 2 more master levels. And they did a lot of work during the pandemic. Nothing but respect. But it is great to look back and kind of see what we could have had.
Yeah, doing all of that in the midst of a thing that none of us will ever experience in our lifetime before, and hopefully never again. I mean, it's one of my favorite games, flat out. And I really think they did well with it. The lost updates of Doom Eternal and what could have been. Thank you, Horde, for coming on the channel today. I really appreciate it.
Once again, thank you for having me. This was pretty fun.
Check out all the videos on your screen to continue your listening journey here, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.